In this video, I'll cover how I built this raised garden bed cover by myself, that is, with no other people helping out and with relatively basic tools. This video has a table of contents in the description, so if you want to skip over this intro, I'll understand. But I think it's important to take a moment to help explain the design a bit to help you decide if this design is right for you. Now, my wife is the gardener in our family. I'm just a trophy husband that she tells what to do. Anyway, she has a couple of raised garden beds and was looking for a way to cover them in such a way that we can put a blanket plant cover over the north bed in the shoulder seasons and a cage style cover over the south bed, the one with strawberries, to keep those wascally birds and chipmunks from stealing our strawberries. The garden bed cover also has to look nice, and by nice, she means no PVC. She just doesn't like the look of PVC. She also doesn't want it to be very expensive, so cedar, redwood, teak, and all those higher end woods are out. Since she only wants to use it on one bed at a given time, the northern bed in the shoulder season and the southern bed while the strawberries are growing, it needs to be relatively lightweight and easily carried, so 4x4s, 2x4s, iron framing, and other such heavier materials are also out. It also needs to be a height where she can easily get into it and reach every square inch of the garden bed, meaning it needs to be accessible from the front and the back, yet it needs to be tall enough for eggplant, jalapeno, and other such plants to grow. And one last requirement, she also wanted it built and in place before the planting season began, so she wanted something I could build relatively quickly. So I got to work researching various designs on YouTube, and I really liked a few of them, in particular this one. It's linked to in the description below. It's a very simple design, but the walls would either be too tall for my wife to get into the garden bed easily, or it'd be too short for various plants to grow. So while this design is out for us, it may work well for you. Check it out. I also really like this guy, and it may work well for you, but it doesn't for us since we need to reach into the bed from both sides, meaning that we need to build doors on both sides, but our fence is in the way for that. So that one doesn't work for us, but may work for you. So neither these nor any others I researched met all of my wife's requirements. So I got to work designing something on paper and came up with this design. Low side walls to make working in the bed easy. An A-frame style roof for plant height, at least taller plants planted down the middle of the garden bed. Supports constructed with 2x2 furring strips since they are cheap, light, and pass her looks okay test. Wire mesh to keep the birds, chipmunks, and squirrels out. I didn't have all of the details planned out on paper, just in my head, and as I started building I realized I didn't think through everything enough, so I had to improvise a little bit here and there. If I had to do it over again, I'd definitely do a few things differently, and I'll cover those towards the end of this video, but for now, let's discuss step by step the materials I used and how I built it. For this material list to make sense, know that the garden part of our raised garden beds are 9 feet long by 3 feet wide. My materials used are as follows. 5 10-foot long 2x2 furring strips. 16 8-foot long 2x2 furring strips. Rolls of wire mesh. I used a 1/4 inch mesh for the sides and 1/2 inch mesh for the hatches, but you do you. 8 galvanized hinges. 4 galvanized heavy-duty barn door handles. 8 galvanized lightweight door handles. 8 screw eye hooks. 1 6-foot length of chain. 8 spring-loaded these thingies. A few wooden shims. A box of 3-inch deck screws. A drill and drill bits. Bolt cutters. A good stapler and a box of staples. I can't stress the importance of a good stapler enough here since you'll be doing a lot of stapling. A good pair of wire cutters. Same here, I really can't stress the importance of a good pair of wire cutters enough here. You'll be doing a ton of wire cutting. 2 portable workbenches, or a real work area if you have one. Clamps. And finally, a miter box and miter saw. If I had to buy all of these, the cost would have run me about $871, but since I already had most of this stuff, I only really needed to buy the furring strips and door handles and things like that, so it really all in cost me about $406. So the first step was to build the A-frame sides, and to do that I first built the rectangular bottom. 2 39-inch long sides and 2 19-inch short sides. I used my 3-inch decking screws to screw them all together. Then I did a little back of the napkin Pythagorean theorem math to determine how long the A-frame sides should be and cut them accordingly. Note for these, I cut the 45-degree sides so that an inch of surface is flush with the rectangular side, and then I cut 90 degrees here so there is no overhang. I cut the middle A-frame support with two 45-degree cuts on top so they come together at a point like this. After the frame was made, I set it on my makeshift work area, otherwise known as my outdoor countertop, rolled out the wire mesh, stapled it down a bit, cut to size with wire cutters, and stapled it down some more. The big thing I want to emphasize here is the importance of good wire cutters. The cutting shown here on this first frame took much longer than it should have since I was using an old, dull pair of wire cutters. After this, I went out and bought a new sharp pair of wire cutters, and that made all the difference. So do yourself a favor and buy new wire cutters before building anything like this that requires a lot of wire cutting. After finishing both of the sides, my wife took a look at them and let me know she thought they were too tall. I mean, she is the one who'll be leaning over them to do the raised bed gardening work, not me, and she's a foot shorter than I am. So yeah, she was probably right. But they were already made! No! No need to panic. It was actually a fairly easy fix. I just cut the side pieces to be 9 inches long instead of 19, then used my wire cutters to cut the wire mesh to have a little overhang, then cut a new furring strip to size and screwed it in place, and stapled the wire mesh back in place. Easy peasy. So, with this mistake of mine in mind, I highly recommend you figure out your preferred wall height ahead of time, so you can avoid this time waster. The next step was to make the long sides. Before doing this though, I determined which of my 10-foot long boards was the nicest, straightest one, and I set that one aside. It will serve as the top board and needs to be fairly straight, so I don't want to use that one here. To make each long side, I cut two 10-foot long furring strips down to exactly 9 feet. Then I used mostly scraps and part of another 8-foot long furring strip to end up with 5 9-inch furring strips. Then I clamped them in place and screwed them all together. The problem here is the long furring strips aren't exactly straight. They're a bit twisty-bendy, so I remedied this by setting them on a relatively flat surface, and I placed 2 cinder blocks on top of them and let them sit like that for a couple of weeks. As I learned from my potting bench project, clamping a piece of wood to straighten it out for a week or two is a fairly effective way to remove a warp. While this is happening, if that 10-foot long furring strip you set aside isn't perfectly straight, this is a good time to make sure it is. Consider clamping it to a long straight surface or putting bricks or cinder blocks on it as well during this time to straighten it out as much as possible. 2 weeks went by and the cinder blocks did the trick. The walls are fairly straight. Next, I rolled some wire mesh on top of the sides, cut it to size, and stapled it all in place. With the 2 long sides complete, it's almost time to start putting this thing together. But I'm going to need these middle pieces and this long beam ready to go as soon as the 4 walls are screwed in place. So I got the middle boards ready first. I cut the long support piece to 36 inches, then the 2 A-frame pieces and the middle support board just like the others used to form the end pieces. Now with all my main support pieces ready, I took them all out to my garden and placed them near one of the garden beds. I then set one end and a long wall in place at a 90-degree angle to each other and deck screwed them together. Then I did the same for the other long wall. Kept hitting the screw that goes in here when I tried to go in this way. So over there I was ended up screwing it here and down here, but I could do the sides. I don't know why I didn't do that in the first place. Then the other side. Then I screwed the middle support pieces in place. After that, I got the long straight board I set aside, and I cut it to size about 9'3" and screwed it in place. After this, I made the hatches. The big thing here is to be sure you measure each individual hatch first. Not just the length and width, but also the diagonals, as not everything may be perfectly square. I made this mistake on my last hatch by measuring only the length and width, but not the diagonals, and I ended up with a hatch that didn't fit. Also, be sure the hatch is the right length to rest on the 2x2 side walls once connected. I attached each hatch to the frame by placing wedges between the long straight frame piece and the top of the hatch. Clamping it in place, then screwing in the hinges connecting the hatches to the top piece. After all the hatches were in place, I screwed in the hatch handles. For the side handles, they were too wide to screw them into the 2x2 supports, so I had to screw on some scrap pieces to the sides as shown here in order to have something to screw the side handles into. Yeah, that's a hack, and I'll discuss more about that later. But now the garden cover is fully functional, and that it can keep the critters out. I just need something to keep the hatches open while working in the garden bed. I looked into all kinds of lid stays and other hinges, but none would really work for this design. So I kept looking for a solution and finally stumbled on this video where a boat owner had a similar issue with storage compartments on his boat.
We've got it installed, so you can see it's just going to hang down here into the locker. When I need it open, we pull it open, we snap it onto the snap.
So this gave me an idea to do something similar, which I did using I-screws, these spring clasp thingies, and a chain I cut into 4 small sections with bolt cutters. So far, so good. Thank you, Alan. With that, the garden bed cover is complete. My wife likes it, and I earned my beer for the day. But laying in my hammock, looking back on this design, if I had to do it over again, I would definitely have done a few things differently. First, I consider using a material other than furring strips. Yeah, furring strips are cheap and they work, but they also split quite easily, and I'm not sure they're going to hold up very well over time. Second, I would have done something different here, the tops of the A-frames. Perhaps something like this, or maybe just use some sort of metal support brace. I say this since the way I designed it, I'm not very confident it will hold up over the long run. Screws are the only things holding it all in place, but I can always add some metal support bracing later, so it's not that big a deal. Third, I probably should have added some extra support bracing to help keep it from wiggling side to side, something akin to these braces from that second alternative DIY garden cover video linked to in the description below, but I can add such braces later on if needed. We'll see. Fourth, I would have used 2x4s here instead of 2x2s to better back the side handles. My hack 2x2 bolt-on solution was just that, a hack. I also would have attached the side handles right after construction of the side walls rather than later in the process. And lastly, I would have spent more time designing it to be more modular. Yes, this one is fairly modular in that if a part breaks I can probably fix it, but I can't easily take the whole thing apart for winter storage and put it back together in the spring. It will have to sit out there year-round, which isn't ideal considering our winters up here in Chicagoland can be rough. I'll be forced to just throw a tarp over it over winter and hope for the best. Anyway, I hope this helps, and thanks for watching. Cheers!